Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 4 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the VKM 750 LMG, otherwise known as the VKM for the rest of this episode. In the previous episode on the Hades LMG, I made two mistakes and I wanted to correct those now. The first one was that the Hades becomes a 6-shot kill at long range when the suppressor is attached. Now, in the episode, I said that it increases the shots to kill to 6, and to be fair, I tested this not scientifically. I played the game and I noticed that I was taking one more shot to kill, and this was compared to Exclusive Ace's testing that showed that it had no damage range drop off. The reality is that it does become a 6-shot kill, however the ranges are very extreme. 35 meters plus, which is only the longest ranges of engagement, and in the games that I was using the suppressor, they just happened to be the games I was going for super long shots, and I missed that, so it's kind of a miss on both points there with the audience and with my testing. I wanted to correct that, and one thing that I was just flat incorrect about is that the base hipfire on the Hades is not better than normal. It's got the same spread that the other LMGs do, it just shoots faster, so it's easier for me to get more hits because it's just a spammy weapon. Without any further mistake corrections, let's move into the VKM in depth and hope that I do this episode perfectly. It's going to be a slightly shorter episode than usual because I find the VKM to be a simple and straightforward weapon, and the best part about this weapon is the absurd amounts of damage that it can deal. It'll deal 54 damage per shot, pretty much every single range in the game. It's infinite range, so that's 3 shots to kill anywhere on the map as long as you're connecting through people and as long as you're not shooting through objects, and that seems really good. Unfortunately, your headshots aren't going to matter at all because the multiplayer is not enough, but the weapon shoots kind of slow, and if you're playing in multiplayer and you're shooting, you might find that it takes a little bit too long to get a kill even with only 3 shots. However, if you run high caliber 2 and you get headshots or upper chest, because that's kind of how this works, it'll deal 75 damage a shot, which means that it is 2 shots to kill at all ranges or 3 shots to kill on somebody that's been healed by crash or something like that. Now, to be clear, for this to work, you do have to hit head or upper chest. Lower chest, groin, legs, feet, like stuff like that's not going to work. But high caliber 2 damage hits at 75 damage a pop is the highest damage output in the game, with the exception of sniper rifles and shotguns. Of course, those can insta-kill, but this is absurd. This is like off the charts level of damage in any Call of Duty game, and that is by far the best part of the gun. The VKM does have a unique operator mod with a funny name called the Fat Barrel. If you read the in-game description, the Fat Barrel is supposed to make hitboxes bigger. It's supposed to just generally make your bullets easier to hit the enemies with by giving them bigger hitboxes, artificially inflating them, and that sounds like a fantastic attachment. When I first saw this, I was 100% in, and I was praying to God I could use this in Blackout because it'd be super useful in Blackout. So I went ahead and did some testing, and what you're watching right now is the hitboxes with the regular VKM with no Fat Barrel attached, and you'll notice that when it comes to body hitboxes, the game is overall very accurate, and very rarely am I shooting air and getting a body hit. However, the head hitbox is huge, and this is something that I've noticed in Black Ops 4 compared to other Call of Duty games, is that they just made the headshot hitbox really, really big and really generous. It's a generic hitbox that accommodates the different stances and helmets and stuff that other characters have, so they're all the same. This is with the Fat Barrel, and you'll notice that yes, the Fat Barrel does make hitboxes bigger, but not by much. It might be a 10% increase in hitboxes all around. You'll see some kind of clickbait YouTube videos with like really fat players, or like people getting hits like 5 feet to the left or 6 feet to the right. That's completely untrue. You are quite literally playing a game of inches with the Fat Barrel, and in my opinion, you might get a 10% increase in hitbox radius, like a 10% all around increase, and for this particular gun, I don't think that's very useful. Fat Barrel is definitely not worth the 3 creative class points that you're going to have to spend on it. One of the worst parts of the gun is its rate of fire. 360 rounds per minute, incredibly slow. Even if you run rapid fire on it, it only goes up to 400 rounds per minute. So overall, a very slow firing weapon, not very fun to use. If you miss a shot, the penalty and follow-up is huge. People have the ability to literally walk between your bullets. You can probably tap or single fire faster than this. Now there's a cap on the gun so you don't get extra speed from doing it, but if it were a DMR, you could probably beat this with your trigger finger, which means the VKM time to kill is very slow without rapid fire or high caliber, and it is an objectively very bad weapon. The time to kill is really slow, the penalty for missing a shot is really high, the handling isn't fantastic. There's a lot of big problems with the VKM that I would tell you to completely avoid it as a weapon. Unless you want to run high caliber 2 and rapid fire, then that makes the VKM have the fastest time to kill in the game. Of course, excepting the insta-gib weapons. It'll kill you ludicrously fast if you have high caliber 2 and rapid fire. That is 2 rapid shots back to back and you are done. Or you can kill people, you can make them done that quickly. And it is super good to use this way. If you want to use it with high caliber 2 and rapid fire, you'll find that it's a very effective weapon, and you'll find that you drop people all over the map. Recoil on this weapon is low and predictable, but it does kick just enough to make you miss sometimes. You probably won't miss any up close, probably not much at medium range, maybe a little bit at long range, and I do find that rapid fire does of course make the recoil worse, so the foregrip helps stabilize it a little bit. The foregrip isn't the most insane or beneficial thing, but I run it sometimes. Recoil's overall pretty low, pretty easy to handle on that front. The iron sights aren't bad. I don't like them per se, but if you plan to play on smaller maps or just not use this for really long range engagements, they're just fine. You can peg people medium and close range with no issues whatsoever with the iron sights. I think most people are going to prefer optics. I actually kind of prefer long range optics. I like getting these really long, like 2-shot kills at super long ranges. Some people like the thermal on this gun. I kind of don't. The shake is a little bit funny, but I believe that most of you are going to gravitate toward optics of some kind. In my opinion, the VKM is exceptionally bad at getting hipfire kills, and you should avoid hipfire at all costs. The weapon has a huge hipfire spread. It shoots really slowly. You're really unlikely to get any hits. Your follow-up shots are going to be super slow. I wouldn't hip fire unless somebody is sitting on the end of the barrel of your gun, and then you might still miss. Even when people are up close in your face, when you're getting rushed, when you're wanting to panic, you're going to still need to aim down sights to get kills with the VKM. ADS time, base ADS time anyway, is about the same as the other LMGs at 350 milliseconds, which is a little bit slower than that of rifles. However, though, quick draw makes it aim down sights really fast at 230 milliseconds. That's a really kind of snappy response right there, at least by Black Ops 4 standards. And if you can aim down sights faster, get your shots on point faster, then you can kill people faster. You can kind of use this as a close range weapon. It's hard to do. It's not easy, but it's doable. Most people will use this as a post up behind a head glitch weapon and try and choose you from long range, but if you're patient and you kind of know where people are going to be rushing you from, you can punish them really hard up close. Reload time is kind of all over the place. The base reload time is 5.25 seconds, which is slow. However, fast mags takes that down to just over 2 seconds, which is way better, and it'll get you killed less often. That being said though, if all of your engagements are going to be over in 2 to 3 shots, maybe 4 if you have terrible aim, you have plenty of bullets in your magazine. You probably won't need fast mags or extended mags or any magazine attachments because you can kill a whole ton of people before you really need to reload. But that is kind of ultimately up to the choice of the user. My opinion on this weapon is that the VKM is a highly specialized weapon with only one truly viable setup, which is the high caliber 2 and rapid fire. As much as I tried this weapon in various configurations and modes, and I wanted to kind of make it work as a normal weapon, it just wouldn't. It doesn't have the rate of fire, it doesn't have the time to kill, it doesn't have the overall stopping power to kill people very effectively normally. But man, is it fantastic when you have high caliber 2. That just chunks people, and it's just the best way to use it. And when you equip it like that, statistically speaking, the VKM is very similar to the Gorgon. So our class today is going to be the Gorgon 2.0. You're going to want to run optics on it so that you miss less, and for comfort. High caliber 1 and 2 definitely. Don't go cheapy cheap and only do high caliber 1 because you're probably not going to get enough headshots for this to count. Go ahead and do high caliber 2. Make it easier on yourself. Add rapid fire and quick draw. And yes, I realize that's very attachment heavy and you're going to have to use some wild cards, but thankfully perks aren't that essential in this game, and I had a really good time with this class. This was my overall best class, and it's just clearly the best way to use this weapon, though I do want to talk about the VKM a little bit more in depth on Blackout. The VKM is a fantastic weapon from Blackout, and I think it's one of the most underutilized weapons in Blackout. I think the Hades might be slightly more useful for me overall because I use it as like a close range backup, but I do pick up and use the VKM in Blackout fairly frequently. It has just utterly insane damage output, and that matters a lot in this mode. It helps your shots actually count against armored users. It makes sure that people don't slink around rocks and corners and get away. You can put them down. If people are unarmored, you're going to absolutely brutalize them. Unfortunately, you can't run high caliber 2, but getting these high damage shots in is very good, and it damages the armor just a little bit more. One other thing that it has that is very unique to weapons in Blackout, as a matter of fact, the only other weapon in Blackout that has this is the Paladin 50 cal, is simply that the 50 caliber bullets in Blackout have way better ballistics than any other ammo type. They are a high caliber, high powder, long distance, high velocity round. They travel super fast. They don't drop hardly any. You don't have to lead very much. You can nail people at long distances very easily with the VKM, and that's how I most often use it. I use it kind of like a DMR that can go full auto if things get scary. You'll most likely see me using this gun with some sort of long-range zoom sight. I'm going to prone out behind a rock or in a bush, like one of those favorite people that you run into on Blackout, and I'm going to shoot one, maybe 2 shots at a time at people really far away. I'm going to wear their armor down. I'm going to harass them. I'm going to give them a miserable time. And if somebody rushes me, if I really need to, if somebody's close, I can full auto and do very large amounts of damage. Now, if I see people coming close, I'm probably going to swap over to my backup weapon, which will be a faster rate of fire. But if I don't have time for that, the VKM can make things work. So I would recommend it for Blackout, would not recommend it for multiplayer normal, but would definitely recommend it if you're going to run high caliber 2. Guys, that is all for this shorter in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something useful. Hope you come back next time. And if you did, you can always subscribe. And the next episode, I promise you, is going to be on how to open NAT types. I know that I'm getting lazy on that, but it's coming. I promise. Drifter out.